Well, today's a bit of an odd start.
It is a very bit of an odd start. A very odd start.
We didn't even check if we're focused.
Mine's focused. Mine's autofocus.
I've got the head control on, so the head tracking.
crossed.
Hopefully your one's easily tracked.
We'll pray.
We are good to go. Last week's episode was a bit delayed, but we are here on a Monday, back to normal schedule, even though I'm going to ruin it in a few days.
Yeah, it's like the radio shows that change time slots for a week or so and then come back and you're like, oh, hang on, this was a drive show previously.
Yeah.
So we apologise for our Sunday upload, and then now it's going to be probably a Tuesday upload again.
It's probably your Monday to Friday episode, and then we ended up becoming just Sunday morning. Either way, if you're listening, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. We spoke about the derby and the pump up coming into the Melbourne derby this weekend, and obviously that probably got released after the game finished.
The derby.
What happens?
While we speak, I totally forgot to research something, so I'm going to quickly do that. Anything new in your world? Anything
from a PFC sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot actually. You're finally getting the ball rolling on all the prep for the November pop-up, which is going to be good. Sorted out a few attendees, vendors that are going to be there. So we're going to do a big one this time. There's actually going to be a fair few people, which is good. Good for obviously, people coming to experience it for the first time. It's not going to be, obviously just PFC. When I say that, we still take up, probably 80% of the venue.
Vendors coming?
Yeah, so we've got 3032 coming down.
He's coming back.
Yeah, he's back. Across Goal. So they've got the boys coming down from Across Goal. And Fair Play Publishing as well. So Jason Goldsmith from FNR.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, he's back.
Oh, nice.
So, I'm not sure if he's bringing any of the rest of the crew down. I think they might be. But
I'm sad I'm missing that one.
Yeah, so it's going to be good.
What date is it?
November 20.
Oh, wow. So 4 days, I'll be gone.
Yeah, so the idea is it's going to be a World Cup kind of kickoff party, I guess you could say. It's going to be all kids still, and a sneaky one for the listeners. All club shirts on the day are actually going to be discounted. So we're going to try and keep it on an international focus. So there's going to be
Liverpool ones though; they're full price.
Yeah, of course. No. So it's going to be all the international kits will be in abundance, and we've got a stack more coming in over the next couple of weeks, ready for
That's
it.
amazing.
Yeah, so it's going to be good. It's going to be
good people. Panenka.
Yeah, Panenka as well. Obviously, Panenka's the household name there for us.
To be.
Yeah.
Nothing new on my end. I watched a few games over the weekend. I woke up early with my daughter. We watched Inter Milan. I think it's one of my favorite things now, having a child of age where, I'm able to enjoy the greater things of life, spending time together. So you'll have that soon when Tommy gets to age, I think 2-ish. But we watched Inter Milan against Fiorentina. I didn't realize how old Fiorentina Stadium was and how far away the fans are from the ground. It's an oval, isn't it?
Yeah. So a lot of the Italian stadiums were either repurposed for the Olympics and World Cup.
Yeah.
And that kind of made it a bit of a dilemma. I know they went through a stage probably, maybe not so much the last couple of years, but prior to that, so the 10 years from 2008 to 2018. There was a drop off in attendance. They were trying to improve the atmosphere, but the pitch was so far from the fans that the atmosphere wasn't great.
Was this the whole league?
A majority of obviously there is some stadiums that still like San Siro, for example, doesn't have the track around the outside.
And they're replacing that.
Yeah, but that's that is what it is.
Man,
but did you know San Siro's already been redone? I think it was 3 times. It's crazy. And I think the most recent one was 1997 or something.
I'm just so grateful the next year I get to go see it. I'm unfortunately going there during the season, but there may be a friendly there. And I didn't tell you this, but there might be an opportunity that I might get to see Macedonia versus Italy.
Wow. Wait, what's this?
In the Euro qualifiers.
Jeez, that would be amazing.
I'm trying to work around, of course, I got to speak to my wife about timings and stuff. But it's 2-3 weeks before the Women's World Cup starts, which we'll talk about today. I didn't tell you this, but I was looking at the fixtures. There is a possibility that either I can see Macedonia versus Italy or England versus Italy.
This guy, sick invite.
You can come down if you want. I told you. It's up to my brother. He hasn't invited you to his wedding.
Look, I saw Nick on Saturday, actually. I saw him on Swan Street. Yeah.
My brother?
Yeah, he was at a Bucks party and I was walking to the game.
You didn't even tell me that.
I just remembered now. I was honestly a 3-second conversation.
Wow.
Yeah, I assumed he was going to the game and he's like, no, I'm going to a Bucks party. It was with mates.
I didn't even tell me. But yeah, talking about that game, we watched Inter Milan and Fiorentina, a beautiful stadium. It was 1-0, 2-0, then 2-2, 3-3. And then Inter Milan scored 95th minute, 4-3. Lautaro Martinez and I think it was Shanoglu that scored the winner goal. But me and my daughter just sitting there and I'm like, the commentators like, this is a night to remember. And I looked at my daughter. I'm like, yeah, we just watched this historical moment.
Mate.
And if Inter goes out and wins the league this season, that's definitely one of the big games for them.
And they're the games that you need to win the league. I feel like they say that it comes down to consistency and performance and stuff. Sometimes you need luck. Like
Point's a point.
Yeah, you take it, right. And well, in this case, 3 points, right? Like it's massive.
And over a team like Fiorentina, I know we're not many Italian teams are having a great time, but man, a point's a point. Like again, Leicester City won the league, beating almost the top 6 in a way of like this weird scenario. But now they're on the bottom of the ladder. Did you see that?
Yeah, which is crazy when you think about it.
Of course, correct me if I'm wrong. The timing of listening, of course, might see Leicester second last or something. But it's really sad to see.
Well, they did. I think they won this morning.
Did they?
Tielemans scored an absolute worldie.
I did see that on Twitter. So yeah,
what
they're
a
definitely gone up.
peach, man.
But it's sad to see them with the situation they're in.
It is, yeah, it is, and it sort of makes you wonder if there's not a bounty on Brendan Rodgers' head, but how long does he have left?
Yeah, there's a lot of conversation about coaches and the stuff, and we can talk about. But talking about emotions and stuff, we've got a few things to talk about. We'll talk about derby reactions this weekend in Melbourne. But one more thing, I know you're a Chelsea fan. I'm a United fan. Do you ever celebrate a draw?
Yeah, that's a weird one. Probably not. I think because of the clubs that we support, we probably shouldn't really.
Yeah, but in the motions. Like I know World Cup qualifiers, a 1 point again helps you a lot. Euro qualifiers,
That's the thing, yeah.
1 point into getting out of a group stage or something is more like, for example, if it's like top 2 teams have 3 and you have 3 and they lose or draw or something like that.
It's circumstantial,
and it's
right?
like you get 4 and then the other team that lost out of those 2 gets 3. It's like 1 point, that's it.
Yeah, so it could be like, say, a second versus third where the top 2 qualify and the second place holds their position because they've drawn with third.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I think that circumstance is different because all they need is a point to qualify.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like in the grand scheme of things, and especially this early in the season with a league, I'm saying this because it's probably going to sound like, oh, he's a Chelsea supporter. They were 1-0 up and they bottled it in the 94th minute. Yeah, look, I probably wouldn't celebrate a draw. United were the better team on the day, so I probably could say that we're lucky to get a draw out of that game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I think I know where you're getting at because I saw the United fans and
the video.
United fans, United players.
You watched us coming into that room.
Yeah, and like amazing, obviously amazing. Maybe it's a show of where United's at currently, where they feel like a draw against a team like Chelsea maybe is a big achievement for them.
Yeah. Oh, look, I think for me, looking at this, the thing right now, a point is a lot because as of today, which is the 24th of October, Arsenal is first on 28 points. Man City is on 26 points. Yeah. Didn't realise Man City's second. Tottenham is 23 points third. Newcastle is fourth, which is amazing to see, 21 points. Chelsea fifth with 21. And United is on 20. So that 1 point, secured us to be 1 point behind you. If we had lost, we would have been on 19. Yeah. You guys would have been on 23.
Was it 20 they're on now?
You're on 20, you got 1 point. So you're in 23. 23 would have taken you to third. So
Wow.
You're now fifth with us on sixth. So technically, we held you back from going to the top 4. And technically, it's given us the chance to stay 1 point behind you, but also 1 point behind Newcastle. So we're literally only 2 points away from basically topping you and Newcastle.
I think that it's important for big clubs to... Yeah,
and you faced them in 2 games.
I think, you know what, for United, you think about it too, it was at the Bridge.
Yeah.
Away from home, you need at least a point.
Yeah.
At home, you should be taking all 3 points. So from Chelsea's perspective, that's a big... Not a big... Well, it's a poor result, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I think let's not look past the fact that Newcastle is fourth. That is incredible.
Even Tottenham, I haven't really been fond of their form lately. But I think this is probably one of my favourite seasons in the Premier League. Like looking at the ladders,
it's extremely close.
Oh yeah, Leicester's 16th now. So yeah, a bit of a mess up there. But look, they won. That's good on them. Yeah. But look, I think what I wanted to say was I watched that video, and I think that's what made me love football so much is that passion and the sort of energy in the players. Like Casemiro, a player who's only been at the club for only a couple of weeks. And Martinez, who's the most random footballer, but Lucho is one of the craziest footballers I've fallen in love with. But just the screaming, the passion, it's probably the South American blood in them.
Yeah.
But it's just so you almost when you see your players that you support show the love for the club, you almost fall in love with them a lot more.
I think from Casemiro's perspective too, I think there's a lot to like about it purely from his perspective. Because you think about, you've moved to a new club, you're a big money signing, and you want to kind of prove your worth. And you don't want people to say, "Oh, we've wasted," like Kepa for Chelsea.
He's had a good form.
Now he's come great,
Wow.
but since we signed him up until this season,
It's probably the haircut.
it was maybe, but he was honking, and everyone was like, "Oh, waste of $80 million or whatever it was."
Yeah, that goal he conceded,
It killed him.
I don't blame him.
It was a confidence killer, but
He literally had it.
oh, you mean United game? Yeah.
He had it.
Yeah, it was-
But that moment.
Yeah.
But like that. Look, again, end of the day, football is football. But I think for me, whether it's win, draw, or loss, emotions take over, and I think you as a club or as a supporter, like no matter what, you just have to take every point and every emotion. A game. Football is a roller coaster.
Yeah, and I think there's something too, obviously, to the fact that you're scoring in injury time, whether it's a draw or a win, you've changed the result for the better for your team. So I think it's fair to kind of lose your shit a bit.
Look, amazing.
Maybe you don't take your pants and shorts off like Kovacic and walk
Did you
around.
see that?
Mate, that guy is hung like a horse.
I didn't want to say that.
All the comments I was looking through, so I think I saw Optus ratio, and I'm just going through the comments, and it's just literally eggplant emojis the whole way through the thing.
As the Balkans will say, kolbas, which means sausage. There was another video angle where he walked past this group of people, and everyone's face is like, whoop.
Hang on.
Like,
I wonder why he took all his gear off.
But it's funny because, post game he did that, all fun and games, but it's a bit awkward when you think about revealing yourself in public.
Do you reckon it was a bet of some sort? Do you reckon do you reckon it was just fans, hey, can I have your shorts?
I reckon it's the Balkan blood in him. He doesn't give a shit, and he literally just took everything off.
I'd laugh if it's one of the boys hey, today's the thing is if you do this during the game, you have to walk off in just your jocks or something.
Seeing some stuff behind the scenes at City, I wouldn't be surprised if stuff like that comes out, where players do certain things.
Yeah, a bit of joking. Yeah.
Forgive us if you're listening to this in audio or video form and you're hearing Bread Top next to us beeping. It's probably one of the most annoying things, but it is what it is. What a game. Now, talking about another game, you went to the derby on the weekend.
Yeah, massive.
We'll talk about it in two different scenarios, being on the pitch and in the stands and seeing the game differently. I think when you've shot games, and I think when you shoot games, you don't really picture the game in a sort of formational way, where you watch it in a sort of tactical way.
I think it's a bit more Sunday League vibe because you're on the pitch level. You you experience it from the player's perspective a little bit better.
Honestly, sometimes I look at the balls and through balls. I sit on the wing, so I get to see a lot of the one-on-ones on the wing, cross-hitting, and I don't really get to enjoy the game because I'm always on a high. But what did you think of let's just rate it per in a dot form, like a bullet form. Sorry, I'm missing out on words. So let's go first. Atmosphere. What did you think?
Oh, amazing. I love the fact the Victory supporter group was pumping. The whole North End was absolutely packed. The South End wasn't so busy, but they were still okay. And to be honest, I even think the City Terrace was impressive. They were full and they were pretty loud for the you think about the amount of people they had versus the amount of people the North End had. And I was sitting at about the halfway line, and I could, obviously at sections of the game, obviously the North End was extremely loud and much louder, enough to take up the whole stadium. But I think that there was portions of the game where Victory was playing quite poorly and the City Terrace were up and about, and I was like, well, hang on, this for a group probably the quarter of the size of the North Terrace, that's impressive noise.
Being on the pitch, I think I see why A-League and mainly their players are looking to bring the fans back. Mm-hmm. The RBB, the OG days.
Yeah.
If you're wearing red and black, which we have the kit here today, if you were wearing red and black and you're playing for that club, just having that emotion from those fans would be amazing. The Victory players, they weren't really performing on the day, but their fans did a great job.
Yeah.
I think even the everyday Sunday League sort of fan that's on the sidelines and stuff really eggs on the players.
Yeah.
I love Amy Park, how close it is.
It is nice. It's great for atmosphere.
But yeah, I think atmosphere was perfect. I messaged Scott Galloway after the game, and he reacted to my story of the flare, the city photo. And he goes we said this will be amazing. The flares, the atmosphere. Yeah. I think atmosphere out of 10, I would give it an 8. I think I was really disappointed, and we're speaking before with Mickey and the crew, where it was the members that didn't show up left empty seats.
That's an interesting one because it's plugged as a sellout, right? So which means that there's obviously people trying to get tickets, and whether there's those members whether they're corporate tickets or whatever, but there was obviously gaps throughout. Not a big portion of the stadium, but I'd say there could have been. There was probably at least 5,000 tickets still available.
Yeah,
Still, I say
sucks.
still available. There's 5,000 empty seats.
Yeah, because I would have loved to get tickets for my dad and stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those things where you're like, oh, it's too hard basket. You're not going to hunt for tickets at this stage of the season. Maybe if it was finals, people would like start trying to dig them out.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, maybe there needs to be a setup where if you are a member and have a guaranteed ticket and you're not going to the game, maybe there needs to be a way to resell it, whether it's, say, automated online where it's like, are you coming to the game? Yes, no.
It's almost like a courtesy call for
Yeah, I
Sorry
agree.
to the viewers on YouTube. My nose is running.
But
Hay fever.
or even if they were to sell it, like to on-sell it.
Yeah, like in Europe when you go and watch a game and you want to get a ticket and there's no tickets but there's members tickets. You know?
You got you can, I know there's people that live in Australia that will pay for season ticket holding in say United
exactly.
or whatever, and they'll be like the Australian
I always
connection.
think it's almost like the club's courtesy. Like I know some teams don't sell at stadiums. Like Victory, a club that's got pretty much the best supporter group, and it hurts me saying that as a City Heart fan. But like Victory do have the potential and the capacity to fill out their own games. It really made me sad to see green seats.
It does,
At a sold out quotation marks game.
And I think there's an enticement to sit in the North End if you're a Victory supporter too, right? Like, so if you want to be a part of that atmosphere.
100%.
So that's why you see it does, like, the stadium always gravitates towards that part of the pitch, which it's amazing. And I think they're the benchmark for support in terms of the entire A-League. And I think Western's not far behind.
Yeah.
Western Sydney, sorry. They've obviously shown a bit of a resurgence this
Western
season.
United, they're fans.
No, Western Sydney. No, Western United. Oh, they're maybe.
Foxtel Cup the other day.
Yeah. There was 2,000 people or something. It was, wasn't
I
there?
thought there was 300.
Oh, Foxtel Cup.
That's what they call them.
Oh.
Yeah, long story short, I'll explain to you after.
Okay, I was gonna say that was straight over my head, but I saw that there was.
What would you rate the atmosphere out of 10?
Out of 10, look, for an A-League game, I reckon I've only ever been to one other that was better than that, and that would have been like a Victory Sydney derby. I think it was at Etihad, 50,000 people.
Yes,
that pumped.
55,000.
Yeah, it was a shit result, but the
that
atmosphere
was.
was.
That's why I went to that game.
Yeah, and that was pumping, and I think maybe because of it was a combination of obviously a lot of people, good active support. It was kind of between like boycotts and it was kind of at a good time in the A-League, I guess you could say. That was probably up there with one of the better atmospheres of games I've been to.
The good old days of the A-League. But I think it's coming back. I think we're getting to that point, and I think we'll talk about this after this segment. I think the next part was the game of football. I really enjoy the game of football. I think I would have given it a 7 out of 10. There is still a massive gap in the footballing game. I think a lot of people will blame the ref. A lot of people will blame the players. I think overall, the atmosphere and everything really made the game a bit more thing. There was moments when City literally could have scored 5. Shout out, and of course he doesn't listen to this episode or this channel or this podcast, but Izzo really saved Victory.
He was great, actually. He was great, yeah.
And even Glover did an amazing save, I think,
early
offline,
days,
at the start.
To be honest, Victory even had their chances early days. I think there was a sitter from the 6-yard box that Glover saved, and I thought that had to be 1-0.
Yeah,
it was, comfortable
and that's
chance.
the thing about football; it could change within a second.
That's crazy, right? Because I think that chance was actually Brillante, and then within 15 minutes he was sent off.
Yeah, and that I know the Nani call. I saw it from my angle, and I had a clear vision. I got a photo.
Yeah.
And when you look at my photo, I should probably upload it. Like the way Lecky went out with his right foot and then faked with his left. Nani stepped on I think it was his plantar foot, the right one.
Yeah, he stepped.
And in my photo, his foot is literally like on an angle, and Nani's foot is right on top of his ankle.
Yeah.
And it's inside the box. Now, when that happened, I got so revved up. I stood up, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I said the F word.
Yeah.
And then they brought a security guard near me, and they sat him down because all the Victory fans, I was sitting near the Northern Terrace, and they were like,
this guy's
chill,
got
bro.
Yeah, this guy's
Anyways, 5 seconds later, the ref had called VAR.
Yeah.
And then the penalty was called.
Yeah.
What did you think about that situation?
So I really don't like being a biased supporter. So I really like.
Man, it's football. You have to.
No, I know, but it's just I don't know why. It's just something I like. Like I looked at the foul and I was like, from looking at it, like through my eyes, through my eyes, like
Were
on
you
the pitch.
third level?
Yes. So I was up top.
Amazing.
Right?
I love that view.
It was great. From watching the game unfold, it was great. I looked at it and I was like, possibly a pen.
Yeah.
And then it made me think how much I hate soft penalties. Yeah. Right? And VAR has made penalties really soft.
Yeah.
Went to halftime, went to the bar, grabbed a beer, and while I was waiting for the beer to be poured, A-League posted the replay. And I watched it in slow-mo, and I'm like, 100% penalty.
Yeah.
But it's still, like, in saying that I think it's 100% a penalty, I hate the fact that there's, like, such minimal impact. Like, we saw it with Arsenal and Gabriel Jesus' penalty call, I think it was 2 games back. and that you can literally just touch someone's studs with like the lightest feather touch, and it's a penalty.
Yeah.
I feel like there needs to be like a degree of, I don't know, impact or something where they gauge. Not saying you have to kick the shit out of someone to give away a penalty, but you need to make some sort of serious impact.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I think the game of football is growing in a way, and also there's always going to be backlashes. Like,
Yeah.
we look at the moment about Argentina and Maradona's hand of God.
Yeah.
That happened during a time, today's world, this player would have been banned
Yeah.
using his hand.
Yeah, yeah.
I think.
Look at Suarez. Suarez did similar.
Yeah, but Suarez did a lot of things. He literally, bit his way through the game. But I think the hardest part with VAR calls, and I think it's just how many bad calls they've done with VAR, and I think that's really soured a lot of people's view. Being on the sidelines, I think, and hearing the players' reactions, VAR does interrupt the game and the style of play. Actually, one thing I want to talk about quickly, nothing I hate more these days, a new rule, it's when the ball, it's offside call, and the ref's going to call it, but they wait for the play to finish,
Yeah.
and then they call it, and I think to myself, you literally just wasted 2 minutes of my life.
But that was to give I think, say, for example, they play the ball through to the striker that's playing in the center of the park.
Yeah.
And then the winger can come from behind from an onside position.
Yes.
So that's to give that the benefit of the doubt. So I think that's a tough one because you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
I know, but it's the same scenario with the Ronaldo and Newcastle moment,
Yeah.
where it's like, I feel like there's so much authority these days where we've got a technical ref upstairs sitting there on a computer to, give feedback to a ref on the pitch,
Yeah.
who both can still make mistakes. And then you have the technical mistake from an athlete's point of view, who's clouded by their thoughts of, am I doing something right? Am I doing something wrong?
Yeah. So then you build in this second guessing into their game, and it's like, what do? I feel like as a player, you have to just take the risk and be like, you know what, I'm going to go because if the opportunity is there, I've got to either go full hog
Yeah.
or take the chance. Or it's not going to be an opportunity. It's going to be
We'll
nothing.
see this World Cup. I reckon there's going to be some amazing moments for refereeing. I think there's going to be the
Yeah.
whole world's going to be viewing. We'll go to the last bit of this derby, but quickly, what's your last thoughts on the next update in football, rule-wise? Do you think there's anything coming up, anything that you'd like to see change?
I don't know. Off the top of my head, I can't really see
Any
too much.
rule that in the game of football that you think... I think there was a rule today coming out quickly talking about time wasting. And
Yeah.
how to not suspend, but speed
Move the game along. I don't think that matters because at the end of the day, if a team wants to take their time with the ball, they're going to do that anyway.
Well, the other day they were saying 44 minutes was only played, so a whole minute was gone to time wasting.
Yeah, but I think but time wasting or not, teams know how to run down the clock.
Yeah.
It's not hard for them to drop back, play the ball across the back 16 times,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden there's 5 minutes
100%,
gone.
yeah, keepers doing their things.
So
What's one rule though? Off the top of your head,
I
I'll
reckon
give you a countdown.
there's got to be something about antics. I think we saw Nani drop and roll, and I don't know. There's got to be a way, and it's really hard because you don't know if he's injured. He could have hurt himself, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's all these tactics around, that way that they go about it. They might try and suck the ref in. There's an element of trying to guilt the ref into giving him a free kick, and if he doesn't give it, maybe the next one he'll give their way a little bit more and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. I hated seeing it. I reckon it's a big waste of time when you just you're sitting there as a spectator. You're like, oh, this dickhead's rolling around again.
It's funny because when you're on the opposing side, you hate it, but when you're on your own side of the play, you're yeah, stay down.
Well, yeah. You know what? I hate this is bad too because I feel like I am the sort of player. If it's the last 5 minutes and we're 1-0 up, man, I'm staying on the ground. I'm not getting up. I'm taking my time. I'm limping to the sideline.
I was always that player who would walk up to the player on the floor and pick him up and be like, "Get the fuck up."
Yeah. And then you get booked for trying to move it along. Yeah, fun.
I think one rule I would change is the throw-in rule.
What would you do? Put on the floor?
Honestly, I know, I just feel like I witnessed so many foul throws recently in the professional game.
Yeah.
And then there was this other day, the guy literally went on his, because the rule is you both feet have to be.
And you're probably outside the camera.
Yeah, the rule is you have to have both your feet on the floor, yeah?
Yeah.
So this guy literally squatted and threw the ball over his head to his mate, and his mate volleyed it out. But he literally went on the floor and he threw
Because it was point blank range,
so
yeah.
he's not doing this,
It's like the
that's
perfect.
basically a foul throw, or it's like this weird angle where he's throwing it down to a player, so it's force. Or even if you lob it. So he literally went Oompa Loompa level and did it. And
Deep squat.
I was like, well, first of all, this guy's getting a good glute workout.
Yeah, squat game
But
strong.
secondly, I'm like, that's defeating the purpose of the whole rule.
I've never seen that before.
But to me, it's
That was brilliant.
he's actually giving himself an advantage.
Yeah, but I guess if the rules are what the rules are, and if you can bend them to work for you, why
Literally
wouldn't you?
bend your knees and get down there and do
literally
that.
bend them. Yeah.
But I don't know if you're a referee, listen to this, or if you're not into football, let us know in the comments below or on Twitter, wherever this goes. We haven't made a reel, so let us know.
Yeah.
This is, I reckon that'll be a good video for real.
Maybe.
Maybe just, let us know. Do you think that throw-ins, are you able to squat down or not?
Yeah, well, there's like, so you know that whole thing about keeping your feet on the ground, but then there's people that do that front flip throw in, right? Like they do like that, your feet are on the air, but I know upon
when
the
ball,
throw,
the ball has to be, so your feet have to be on the floor when your ball's thrown.
Yeah, correct.
So I think when you do the flip, it's like this thing.
I still love that.
You can hop, skip, and drop roll if you have to, but as long as the ball goes out of your hands with your both feet.
I remember in high school, I saw this guy do that for the first time. And the other time I'd seen it was on Bend It Like Beckham.
Oh, wow.
Right? And that was, there might have been a few other ones on YouTube or whatever along the way.
That's so sketchy. I don't know how they did
man,
it.
imagine, I was like a year 7, so I was like a 12-year-old kid, and I went and watched like the senior team play, which was 17-year-olds.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing this guy do that throw in from like left back, and I was like, that is the coolest thing ever. And I honestly, I don't even think I could do a handstand or a cartwheel. And I'm like, I look at watching this guy do it with a football, and then launch this thing 40 meters. Like, that is sick. It's so cool.
Yeah, I remember that. Good movie. Good shout out. Another movie I like is Kicking and Screaming. Have you seen that? With
So
Will
good.
Ferrell?
Yeah,
Kick
so
it to
good.
Italians.
Bing Bong. Bing Bong's my favorite in that.
I gotta watch that again.
That's so bad. That's probably slightly racist, actually.
I don't know why you said that now.
I
It's
don't
made it
know. This is
awkward.
awkward.
Kick it to the
We didn't
Italians.
say it. We're just
They're gonna make
observational.
it to part 2, I reckon. That'd be good.
That is great. That was a great movie.
What do we do? I think we're almost 25 minutes, so we've gone over what we wanted to do today.
That's all right.
Should we break or continue? Because those two are going to turn off.
Yeah, let's check the cameras and then we'll come
All
back.
right, quick break, and then we'll talk about Women's World Cup, and we've got two things. Before we go, make sure to follow us on our socials, PFC Paul.
PFC Paul. This is good. You actually butchered this last episode too. It ended up being half in Macedonian, half in English.
Oh, that was... Yes, I forgot about that episode. It felt like last week.
Please don't follow me on PFC Paul because you will not find me on PFC Paul. You'll find me on PFC Vintage. That's about
I
it.
was going to say PFC Paul is PFC Vintage, and of course on Talking Shirts. Okay, so PFC Paul is...
Is there actually a PFC Paul?
No, there isn't.
No, it's not.
Done.
Okay.
All right, see you soon.
Ciao.
Back.
We're back.
We probably should, like, if we don't have any ads, we should put a spot out there. If any business wants to throw themselves into the middle of the episode, that'd be see. Like, we accept anything.
Yeah, I'll throw that in there. If you're a listener and you've got your own show,
Yeah, like,
hit us up.
Definitely
We can
down to
chat.
do that. Actually, I just thought about that then when I sat down.
Yeah.
What is it? Monday. So Champions League coming up. I'm excited for that. But the Women's World Cup.
Yes. New Zealand, Australia host.
It's going to be in 6, 7, 8, 8.5. Yeah, 8 months almost.
Pretty much, yeah, something like
It's
that.
growing. I've got the groups here.
Yeah.
Now,
Exciting.
forgive us if we, are not in the sort of knowledge of the certain teams and like their hierarchy in the women's game. I know country-wise, some of these countries probably would be a lot more dominant in the women's game than in the men's game.
Yeah.
Like I look at the group stages and I see countries like Zambia, who I don't think have ever made a men's World Cup, but also a presence in the men's game.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I look at that and I'm like, there's so many nationalities that are missing, like nations, yeah?
Yeah.
Zambia, that's Zambia.
No.
right?
I saw you. I was
Yeah. So to me, it's like, it's so good to see that in the women's game, it's showing representation in different countries.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that because, like, I'm watching, countries like Macedonia and their women's game, and I see it. I think a friend of mine who plays the City, she plays in the Serbian team now, Vijanic.
Yep.
And, like, to see them not represented here, but to see people like her going over there to play now for her country, I'm excited to see the next World Cup and what countries will now invest into women's football.
I think, and it's definitely only getting better because I think we're seeing, record-breaking crowds. We're seeing, women's football a lot more prevalent on every kind of level, really. Even looking at FIFA, right? FIFA 23 now is having
the leagues,
the women's component to
League.
it. Yeah, which is great. I see where you're coming from, but it's one of those things too, right? Like not having Serbia in there, but having Zambia, obviously different continents, right? Like, and this happens. This is why we've got people like countries like Italy not qualifying for the men's World Cup.
Yeah.
And then there's other countries in there that so if, for example, like I don't know, like Japan, I guess is probably maybe not. Maybe Japan's probably a bad example because they're still like a Asian powerhouse. But there's other countries in there that aren't as internationally renowned for being a football powerhouse. The groups are, for me, these groups are actually pretty interesting. You know, like my wife's a bit into football as well. She's a big football fan and player as well. So I've always given a lot of time to women's football and, you know, paying a lot of attention to the previous World Cup, the Olympics as well. And looking at this draw, I actually think that this tournament is going to be nuts. Like, there's a lot of really good teams in here that are pulled together.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, we always talk about, like, the group of death when there's a draw comes out in, you know, in the Champions League or, you know, Europa League or whatever, you know, any like, group type of tournament. And, you know, even looking at, like, Group G, where it's Sweden, South Africa, Italy, and Argentina, that's massive. Then, obviously, Australia has drawn Canada at the same time, which is just coming off the back of the Olympics win. That's huge as well. The Netherlands squad's always stacked, and they're playing against USA as well in the same group stage. So, interesting. What do you think on the playoff winner?
Yeah, I just Googled that. I didn't realize. I thought there were still teams to qualify.
No, that's actually from within the group.
That's a weird concept.
It is. It's interesting, isn't it? So, you know, there's teams like, say, like we said, like Serbia that haven't qualified, but there's a playoff winner from Group B that will progress into...
Wow, sorry, I should have researched this before, but I thought, like, when this came out, when the graphic came out, I was looking at it, because shout out to Sam German, who's gone over there and, you know, worked with the Women's World Cup. I'm so curious now. So, for example, Group E, who has USA, Vietnam, Netherlands, which you mentioned,
Yep.
and they play a Group A playoff winner. So, does that mean if New Zealand wins it...
So I'd assume the top two would progress. And the third place would have to play third place of Group A, isn't that right?
Yeah, I'm so confused.
That's actually interesting. Maybe we should put that in the comments if you know what that
Yeah,
actually means.
we probably should research that.
Yeah, I was going to say,
feel
we looked
so-
like, let's talk about the draw. We don't know what it's about.
No, I feel so silly now, not even realizing what that means. But anyways, I think looking at the group stages, you can research a while if you're doing that. Looking at the groups, and I'll say this: Australia does not have an easy group. You know, the Irish girls did an amazing job to qualify. The Nigerians are known to be, you know, amazing, and the fact they're not representing in the Men's World Cup, I think they're going to have something to show. So I reckon they're going to, you know, put their blood, sweat, and tears into representing their country. And then Canada is definitely one of the top teams in the women's game. But I feel like Canada, USA are now falling behind in a sense that a lot of our nations have realised they need to invest in the women's game.
Yep.
And I feel like we're going to get to a point where, you know, like even looking at the England girls, the three Lions, you know, Lionesses, when they went to the Euros, like they really showed that, USA, Canada, we're coming for it.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing because, you know, Denmark, Norway, all these teams, Germany, have always been dominant in the last 10, maybe 20 years.
Yeah.
But I think it's time now to show, you know, the countries around the world that there are, you know, better footballers coming.
There's going to be, I think honestly, there's going to be a big shift in football. Like that whole landscape for women's football has been, you know, very USA dominant. And now we've seen probably in the last, you know, 5 years or so, the English team come through. And obviously Australia's always been there or thereabouts. Brazil has been obviously always pretty stacked as well. But I think we'll see the likes of Spain, Netherlands, Sweden pop up. And, you know, they've got some amazing players. Obviously Ballon d'Or winners in there. Like, you know, you can't write these guys off. Germany as well, which I obviously always forget. And I think, I wouldn't be surprised if more South American teams like Argentina and, you know, Colombia and stuff like that do actually perform well, given the circumstances. I think actually one that's not in there, I don't think, is Chile.
Yeah, wow.
And Chile's women's squad in the past has actually been fairly decent.
So Argentina from South America is there. They've got Brazil, of course.
Yeah.
Argentina, Brazil, any other South American teams? No. Costa Rica, that's good to see. I just realised
Colombia.
Italy, Argentina's going to be an amazing game.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Oh, that's a good little derby there.
Yeah, that'll be very
hopefully it's in Melbourne. That'll be amazing to attend. Do you have any info?
I've got tickets. I don't have much info.
Yeah, I haven't bought tickets. I'm definitely going to be attending as a photographer. I'm hoping so. But of course, there'll be tickets around. I know it's sold out, but it's going to be one of the biggest tournaments I reckon Australia's ever hosted. I'm really excited. I'm going to go out there and say it's going to be a tough one for Australia to exit the group. But if they do it, it's going to be amazing. There's a lot of injuries in the team, but I think it's going to be a homegrown game. So I'm hoping that we do well. Do you find some info?
Yes. Okay. So the playoff positions are actually still qualifiers. So it's not got to do with the groups that are existing currently. So from what I'm reading is, so if you look at Group D is England, Denmark, China, and then it says Group B playoff. And the Group B playoff is actually out of Chile, Haiti, or Senegal.
Okay.
So these are
To be announced soon, like is
Yeah,
qualified.
basically,
So
yeah,
what
to
are the
be announced,
countries that? So Chile is still there.
So yes, correct. So Chile. So the Group B playoff is Chile, Haiti, and Senegal.
Yep.
Group A playoff, which
Chile definitely out of that.
which falls into Group E, will be
Yep.
Cameroon, Portugal, and Thailand. Which again,
Portugal.
You'd assume Portugal, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
this. We're basing this off have probably a few stereotypical.
Yeah, but look, the Philippines have made it, so it's like really good to see.
Yeah,
countries that are
which is
representing,
great.
in the men's game too.
Group C playoff is interesting because there's more teams. There's actually 5 in there. So it's Chinese Taipei, Panama, Papua New Guinea, and Paraguay. Sorry, it's 4 teams.
Jeez, that's a tough one.
That'll be a tough one. I think it's hard to even say. I think Papua New Guinea's actually been okay, and Paraguay is actually not too bad as well.
It's good to see those country names come up.
Yeah. So yeah.
Especially
look,
Oceania, like the smaller sort of countries represent themselves in the game.
Yeah, it's great. And look, so just to give everyone a bit of a recap, so obviously the group draw has come out for the Women's World Cup. There's still 3 spots available, and they're still going through a
Do
qualification.
you find that
process.
odd that they've announced the group stages even though teams haven't qualified?
Yeah, that is very strange. I'm not sure if there's a reason why.
Do you reckon it's a bit of a rush job post-pandemic?
Possibly, or maybe
There's
it's
still so much time to
maybe it's
go.
something to do with how these teams are qualifying in the qualification process.
Do you know
So
what I realised? Qatar didn't do like that Confederations Cup thing before.
yeah, that's true. Do you reckon that's probably because of the Euros and the jammed schedule that all leagues would have?
Yeah, because I was like looking forward to that, like sort of that.
Because
mini
it's normally
tournament.
it's 12 months prior normally,
Yeah,
isn't it?
like when it's like a couple. It's
tester
like a
tournament.
tester tournament.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember. Yeah.
Well, obviously the Euro 2020 was moved into 2021.
Yeah, true.
Which means that there's no gap year for the 2022 World Cup.
2021.
Yeah.
Jeez, time's go so fast. It's almost 2023. What are your predictions? Who do you reckon will come out top?
So are we going to go group by group?
Just randomly, and I just go one.
I'm hoping Spain do well. Actually, I think they've got a good side. Obviously, they've got Alexis Putellas, the Ballon d'Or winner.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I always gravitate to enjoying the way Netherlands play football as well. So the Netherlands women's squad have a couple of strikers that are just so powerful. It is absolutely crazy.
It's hard for me to call who's going to win the whole tournament, but I'm really positive that I think the English girls coming down to Australia will be enjoying the moment. I think a lot of fans will travel down here, got family down here. I think the Lionesses will definitely have a great tournament.
Yeah.
Seeing how much they're investing into that team now, I'm hoping for their sake and the sake of the future of the English game. I think for the women's league there, the Barclays. What's their sponsorship? Is it?
Oh, I can't remember what the
I
sponsor
always
was.
see it. It's like, but yeah, can you just quickly Google it? It's like a sponsorship for the league. But like to see that the league's represented in the game for FIFA, but also now getting a lot more promo with players like Sam Kerr being the face of Chelsea. I'm really hoping the Lionesses do it for the future of the game because I think the investment in the game will be based on if the girls can win it. What's the sponsorship?
Oh, why can't I see?
Just write sponsorship women's game England. But I think the Lionesses, if they do come to and show their potential in Australia and New Zealand,
Barclays.
I reckon if they win it, Barclays. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I reckon if they win it, it's going to change the game for the women's game in
I
Europe.
think in general, I think if whatever country does win it, it's got to be amazing for like participation levels and.
Not the USA. I don't want the USA to win it because I think they are so like. I don't know. I just don't want the USA to win it because they don't do much.
Do you think if Canada won it, it would make a difference to their participation levels versus the USA? Or do you think being the fact that they're close, does it help?
No, look, again, forgive me, like I've watched a lot of the City girls and like who've gone over to the NWSL.
Yeah.
You know, like it's amazing to see Olympic Reign and all these teams and like, you know,
Yeah.
even the new Los Angeles Angel City, like, and Gotham, all these sort of teams. But like, you know, even Chidiac playing at Louisville. But like, I don't know. I feel like the American game's done enough well. Like they've got good fan atmosphere-wise. The girls go play and get paid there. But I feel like looking at what England's doing now and trying to absorb and promote the game, you know, TV rights, the game rights.
Yep.
The American women have had so long to get on this game, and FIFA, EA Sports being American, they never did anything with it.
Yeah.
The fact that the Barclays, you know, never got Champions League, I feel like it's a lot more appetizing for football fans. That I hope the English girls can do it to show the US this is what you missed out on.
Yeah.
You really didn't capitalize on this, and a lot of the girls are leaving the US now for Barclays.
From a very general sense, do you think that the women's Barclays Premier League is better than the NWSL?
I can't really compare it because I haven't really put the. I haven't
Not
really
not
watched
from a footballing sense. I think just as a league, from the way that it seems to be drawing attention and.
It's doing what the English Premier League for men's is doing compared to other. Like I enjoy watching Serie A.
Yeah.
a lot more than watching Prem. But like I always say, if you know how to talk, you know how to walk.
Yeah.
So the Barclays women's might not be as good as the NWSL, but I think what they're doing for the game is helping a lot more people fall in love with the game.
Yeah.
So if my daughter grows up and falls in love with, like, I don't care whoever team, I'd love to be a Red Devil. But if she grows up watching the Barclays and she goes, I want to be a footballer because of that, then they've done their job.
So bad. Yeah, I think that they whatever they're doing, it seems to be that they make it seem like they're better than every other league purely because they just draw attention.
Do you ever drive past, this is random, but do you ever drive past a cafe and it's like they say the best vanilla slice in town?
Why? I have this argument with my wife all the
I
time.
always do,
It's
yeah.
like, oh, look, another one. Like, why?
But that's what I mean.
Yeah.
If they say they are the best, then you have to trust them.
Yeah.
And I think that's why if the fact that the Barclays is doing that, it's like, hey, come watch us.
We're the
I
best.
want to watch it because they're telling me to watch it.
Yeah,
but
but-
if I want to watch other teams, I'll watch other teams, and then I'll be like, well, you've given me opportunities to watch now.
I love the fact that we're comparing two professional football leagues with a vanilla slice in Sorrento
But no,
and a
that-
vanilla slice in Lawn.
But that's what I mean. Like the Barclays is saying that they're the best.
Yeah, yeah,
NWSL has the National Women's League have never done anything for me.
Yeah.
In a sense, like they haven't tried to get my viewership because on Optus it's there for me.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why. Like I know there's Facebook streams and all that. They've done well in America.
Yeah.
I think they know how to promote the women's game. But I feel like for this World Cup, I think it's an opportunity to show what you can do for the next generation, the next 10 years.
Yeah. Do you think the NWSL has not got complacent, but do you think they were sort of like, you know what, we are the front runners in this for so long, like we'll just keep doing what we're doing and keep ticking away and it's going to work? And then it kind of just left this gap for,
They really banked on the women's game where, like Australia mainly, where they played here, they went over there, they came back, they went there.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of girls that will fly up
the
and
season
down.
structure worked for the
It was
for
perfect
the States.
for 2 seasons,
Yeah.
which was horrible because some girls were unemployed for a few times.
Because the contracts are so short though.
It's short, but also there was no like insurances and all that sort on your career.
Yeah.
But like I think ever since the Barclays came out, and I think now seeing a lot of these girls, women, get full-time contracts, lengthy contracts, 2 to 3 years, sponsorship deals,
Yeah.
it's amazing to see people like Catley and Caitlin Ford play Champions League football. And
It's
even that's going
crazy.
to change over time. Seeing some of the teams in those group stage, I think it's like a 5 or 6, it's a small group stage, yeah? But like to see those girls and, Ali Carpenter, Lydia Williams.
It's only going to get bigger. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. One thing I have to say is I really need to watch other sort of teams and like not just the Aussie girls.
Yeah.
But that's the hardest part when you're so involved and invested into the women's team for Australia. You only watch them.
Yeah, but that's
I
like
think
anything,
one thing I
right?
need to educate myself is seeing the other.
Like you'll pay
countries.
attention to like Macedonian players regardless. Like I know you keep an eye on even as simple as Kulusevski, who's not really Macedonian.
Yeah.
Like he's Macedonian, but he's not.
But
He's
see, like,
Swedish, right?
I have this fascination. I love watching players like Barella.
Yeah.
He's an Inter player.
Yeah.
But I love Barella. I think
Yeah.
he's one of my current best midfielders.
Yeah.
But I can't name you one of my favorite midfield women players because I don't really get invested apart from the Australian girls.
Kind of deviating off topic a little bit. If you were to pick, because obviously I know outside of Australia, a team to support. So say you had no country in the World Cup to support.
Okay. So I'm just
Would you pick a team based on a player that plays for the club you support?
Yeah, like
of them playing
that's
for their
why
national
that's why so many people support Portugal and Argentina because Messi and Ronaldo. But
Yeah.
I think from the women's game, like I support Inter Milan and I follow the Inter women's team.
Yeah.
And the other day they had the Milan derby, and I watched highlights of that. And it was interesting. I really enjoyed it. But I think one of our best players just moved over to PSG. I think. So recent transfer. So like I'm invested in that, but I can't remember the name. So I think that's one thing I need to educate myself. And if I had to choose a team, I think I would choose the team from a jersey perspective. So
Best kit takes the cake. So
for
Japan
me,
most likely.
But it's for me, it's like weird. It's like the top 4 teams for me, or in every World Cup, would be like Germany, England, Italy, and maybe like USA or England, or something, like one of those teams where it's like they've got a bit of history behind them.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Well then, okay. So if you're making, well, what, on that topic, based on the fact that the jersey is your way of deviating, what do you think of the new Japan release?
I love it. I think we had that in our thing. I didn't write notes. Streetwear designer, Nigo. Amazing sort of, they did something, or not them, but someone else did something with Kobe recently with that jersey with they had the whole streetwear. I'm going to show you that.
Yes.
But amazing colorway, green and pink.
Yeah. different. It's very, very like not that it's bold in terms of like how strong the colors are. It's a bold move in terms of like picking those colors. Actually,
There is like a bit of connection
Yes.
between the Japanese culture and those colors.
was it cherry blossoms or something I was reading?
Yeah, so a bit of like spring and stuff. But I think
Yeah.
I love the fact that it's in player spec and
So-
heat ready.
Yeah.
Checked it out, $180. I think it was like 11,000 yen.
Yeah.
I want it. I'm hoping my friend from Japan can send it over to me.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think it's going to be a cult classic?
I think their home shirt will be.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a big.
I need
To be
buy
honest,
it.
even the away, I think this is going to be one of those seasons where you're like, Japan has just gone tick, tick, tick. Home, away, and third or special edition, whichever you want to
Yeah.
call it for this one. They've just nailed every single kit. So I feel like, in maybe 20 years' time, you'll see collectors go, oh, that year or that set of kits is amazing. Where now I think you kind of look back, and I've seen a lot of collectors try and get like, all the Adidas Team Guys shirts from like 06 for the 06 World Cup.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I can kind of get that, like that swirly design if that's what your thing is. I don't know. I'd like to think that Japan set will be sought after.
Yeah, look, I think the rate out of 10, I give it an 8 out of 10. Great kit, definitely collect it.
Yeah.
One thing, what did you think out of 10?
I'm not that much personally. I'm not that much of a fan of this new one.
Yeah.
I much prefer the home shirt.
Yeah, look, either way, there's so many amazing kits in the World Cup. We probably have to do an episode about that.
Probably,
World
yeah.
Cup kits.
We'll do a full review.
I think one thing you and I have spoken about, I just realised our whole episode we're meant to talk more kits and stuff.
Yeah.
Forgive me about my nostrils. I might blow my nose quickly. Hay fever's been really painful to me. So we're trying to make this channel a little bit more kit friendly.
Yes.
It's
Kit
called
friendly.
Between Two Shirts, PFC Vintage and Talking Shirt. And we've made this channel, we kind of got too influenced by the whole game.
Yes.
And I think we need to speak more about the shirts. So
Reining it in.
to try to bring it back, we're going to have this new segment, and I think we might do it every week, where it's called Kitstory or History for the Kits. We both got kits here. You go first.
Sure.
I'm going to blow my nose.
So I've gone. We basically wanted to chat about shirts that were had a story behind them, or at least something that we could talk about, something a bit more topical. And so I went and grabbed the 88-89 Liverpool away shirt. So for those of you who don't know the shirt off the top of your head, it's the Candy sponsored grey with red details. So grey base layer. And I was kind of thinking, I went and had a look at the history, and I feel like from a kit collecting sense, this was one of those like super sought after, really iconic kits when you think of, the greatest kits of all time or greatest sponsors of all time.
Yeah.
And more often than not, those kits are kind of connected with some sort of success. And I had a look at Liverpool's history, and yes, they won the FA Cup in this shirt, but they finished second in the league and they got knocked out of the League Cup in like the fourth round. And it kind of made me think, what actually makes this shirt so special? Because if you think about a team that's won the FA Cup in the last 15 years and not won anything else other than that, is it really that special? Probably not. So I don't know. What do you think? What do you think that this kit, what justifies this being so sought after?
To me, I think it was just a great generation of Adidas football, the trefoil design, the whole logo. I think the best part about this kit was I was looking at the year 88, 89. It was similar to the time of the Trefoil United kit. I think it was just that generation of like UK history going through a lot of differences with the culture of the game on and off the pitch, but also I think just the design elements. It's really forward thinking of its time.
It's funny, right? Because you look at this and take all the brands, take everything off it, and it's kind of like you'd probably see this at Uniqlo. You would probably see this at your basic kind of like casual wear stores.
I always say this, like if I was to buy a jersey, I would look at the jersey without the manufacturer and the club badge. If it was just the manufacturer on it, I would buy, like for example, I'm wearing this one today. We didn't actually speak about what we're wearing. We talked about
We can get that, yeah.
Forgot this channel's about kits. But like this one here, I love the trimming and everything.
Yep.
If it was literally just that with the collar and everything, I would buy it.
Yeah.
So I think from my point of view, this jersey, even though it's Liverpool, Candy as a sponsor was outstanding. I
Yes,
think it's one of the best. The 3 stripes on the shoulders is similar to the United trefoil, where it's like literally a panel and system of its own attached to it.
Yep.
The collar, again, is beautiful. It's overlapping. It's that grey and white detailing around it.
And we've seen this collar back now this season with a lot of the Adidas World Cup
beautiful.
stuff. Yeah.
It's funny, we both brought up great kits today. But also that bird, liver bird and everything about it, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think Liverpool's gone so straight now to the point where it's like just the bird. But I'd love to see them bring that back, that
full
crest.
fresh
That is
crest,
beautiful.
yeah,
It's
it's
so simple. It's elegant. It's that would be amazing with the names.
I think there's something to, and like, for those of you who haven't seen this up close, the crest is slightly risen off the shirt, and I'm a big fan of that. I think that's one thing that if the crest feels substantial on a kit, and there's not too many now these days. We touched on before the episode the Western United crest. But I think that'll be one for the maybe for next week's episode. But a crest that feels substantial, feels maybe like rubbery or like a bit three-dimensional, is so much better than just your slapped on.
These days, if you're spending more than $100 on a jersey, like for your collectors, always make sure you're buying the jersey that you like. But I think for me, it's always making sure that badge has some sort of character to it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're literally just paying $100 for a cloth.
Yeah, quite literally. So what's your kit?
Well, it's basically $100 for a cloth.
100 and some, probably, I reckon.
Well, I was really lucky. I got this kit for about, I think, $80.
Jeez, that's impressive.
It is a large. There is a tear in the back. I'm really annoyed about this. This was my one of my favorite finds on eBay because this was before the craze of kits.
Yeah.
And I found a lot of jerseys, one of them being the Drake Ramberg Dortmund one.
Very nice.
People didn't really value kits. I think the pricing-wise has just skyrocketed. It's almost like the price of oil these days. It's the 95-96 away United shirt. Now, historically, it's the most hated shirt. I did a bit of digging today because I was like, I need to know a little bit more about it. Now, here's some facts. So, at halftime, we were losing. And, of course, Ferguson had changed the shirts to the blue one, the blue and white one I've got with Cantona on the back.
Yeah.
Now, that season alone, I'll read the stats to you. So, United were on a 11-game winning streak. Of course, the loss was, the stop of that. The kit man had both kits ready that day. So it wasn't like a, last minute change. Ferguson had actually said to his kit guy, hey, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to get 2 kits that day. The question then was, and I think it was Gary Neville the other day, 2 years ago, had made this statement. They had a professor called Gail Stephenson from Liverpool University, who was an eye doctor who helped Ferguson. And Ferguson had focused on his players' eye fitness, not his actual fitness, but the sharpness of their eyes. Wow. So before the games, the United players would do a lot of eye training, so to get them focused. So he believed, this doctor had believed that players, if they were sharply focused, if their eyes were seriously on point that day, that they would play a lot better. So if they were quicker with their reaction time,
that's incredible,
then players would be at their peak performance. Yeah. Now, this doctor had said that the grey kits were horrible. So at halftime, the doctor said, no, we're not happy with this. We have to change it. So he changed the shirt at halftime because players were invisible. And of course, United went to lose that game. They still won the league. So United won the league. 4 losses of that season were wearing this out of 6. So 2 games they lost were not wearing the grey, but 4 losses out of 6 were wearing this kit in the grey kit. That one point that Southampton won that day saved them from being relegated.
That's interesting.
That was amazing for them. The 2 games that they lost wearing this jersey that season as well were Arsenal and Liverpool, so that was a massive for them. But for me, I think the one thing that stands out to me, apart from this jersey, it's a beautiful kit.
It is a lovely kit.
It's one of my favourite templates, similar to one that Umbro had for the Cause, the Chelsea
shirt,
the Celtic, and even the new Talking Shirt one that's coming out.
Yes, very sneaky drop there.
Beautiful crest, beautiful badge. It's not like, what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I think from a football kit history, little plug for a new segment, this is always going to be a groundbreaker because it shows that kits can be hated.
Yeah.
And kits can become iconic for good and bad moments.
Of course. And then, it almost like you wind it back and you think, hang on, at the time, people think this is the ugliest thing ever. And now all of a sudden, 20, 30 years later, you're like, oh my God, I love that shirt.
Yeah.
So it's funny how, we look at things now and we look at the Spew kit for Australia, for example, at the time was probably notoriously hated. And now everyone's trying to find one. So it's funny. It makes me laugh. I actually wonder, you mentioned the whole thing about the eye training pre-game. I wonder how early that started and how much that has changed the game in terms of like how our players prepare. We look at like, say guys like G10, we see G10 post a lot of videos, Jonah as well as another one, where they have like a head check kind of setup where, it might be like an iPad with like a color or a number or something on it. And I wonder if this is kind of like stemmed from back then where, it doesn't need to be something so technically advanced. You could be just holding up your hand with a number of fingers up and the player's got to do a head check and, and just do a scan to sharpen your eyes and get you sort of, in the zone. I find that really interesting. But even just looking at it here, you can completely understand why that would be hard to pick out. Because I reckon in your peripherals, if you can just see like, a sea of spectators or, right, you've got this grey, especially from the back, the back, and I know they would have had it like a black and red name set on that, but still, I think that's quite, a bit of an optical illusion.
We really copped it with the sound today.
I think it should be okay.
Yeah, it's iconic. I love the design elements of this jersey is just one of my favorites. My phone's going off, and I know you have to go to work soon. I think overall, one of the best kits. And yeah, I do agree with you. I reckon it would have been invisible for me, but
Interesting.
To get this approved and then to hate it.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
The fact I think it was only worn like 4 times that season.
Yeah,
4 or 5 times.
Yeah, I find that's crazy. I wonder if that's a bit of superstition or a little bit of.
That was the thing. People thought Ferguson was superstitious that game, but the fact that Neville had said that Gail Stephenson was a part of his coaching staff and helped him and said we're going to change the shirt. The change the shirt didn't help him, but they did have a better second half.
I'd love to know how many times that's happened. On a professional level throughout the year. So if anyone else knows, I think maybe that's something be good to drop in the comments and we'll go have a look at it.
I think next episode, yeah.
Yeah, teams that have changed their kit at halftime or during the game. Like we've seen players do it with boots every so often. But I'd love to know which teams have changed kits at halftime and if you know the reason why or, if you have a story for it, please drop it in the comments because I'd love to know.
Well, I think next week we're going to have a story because do you remember this time where, this is quotation, I don't know if this is the real moment. Yeah, I think it was, but the game at Coventry at the Width. I think it was it that time? There was a team in the Premier League. I think Coventry forgot to bring their kits to Chelsea.
Yes, I've heard about this.
And they had to wear Chelsea's kit.
Yeah, they wore the away shirt. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And then I think there was obviously the Argentina World Cup one where they had to go to the markets and they bought a rugby shirt for the game.
So we're going to do this. I reckon every week we're going to have a story.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
A kid story. If there is a kid story, I like this, story. If there is a kid story you'd like us to talk about, a specific kit in history that speaks to you, a moment in time, the Spew kit, we can probably research the Spew kit, maybe see the designer. I like this. We're getting in contact with designers.
Yeah. Drop us a comment.
If there is a story, drop us. No, don't drop us. But drop a comment in the whatever.
Drop a squat, do a throw in, and let us know which kit you want us to talk about.
Lastly, there is these 3 kits to talk about, and then we'll let you guys go. You want to hold, and we'll hold 2, or we'll hold 1.
You can talk if you want.
Hate the club, great jersey. Love the sort of elevated, badge.
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier. I think the badge is amazing. I love that. I don't know if anyone watches us talk about or listens to us talk about A-League. I love how much Aleks hates Western United. Like, I really don't hate the club that much. I'm sort of indifferent about Western at the moment. I think because I really have a soft spot for DR. But
I like DR.
Any chance you can jib at them, you just give them something.
I think the badge is great work. But I still think Kappa can do a lot better. I feel like they got sold short with the design in the middle.
Yeah, but I think, at least they're trying to be different.
Yeah.
I can appreciate the fact that they're trying to be different.
They don't deserve the gold on their crest.
Sydney, Under Armour.
Really disappointing. And yeah, the star's gone. Did you see what happened to them?
No, the casino.
The casino, yeah. Dodgy.
Oh, what happened?
Yeah, long story short, basically, they didn't pay their licenses.
Wow.
Hey,
interesting.
look at the A-League logo.
It's massive. Why is it so big?
It's missing the Isuzu A-League as well.
It is too, but is that's press that looks at it?
That's strange.
Whereas this is
badge is nice. I don't mind the badge, not compared to that one. Kappa does a great badge.
Yeah.
I think this is actually nice too because it's got that meshing around it.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact they've gone copy paste. I know a lot of Sydney FC fans are crying out for Under Armour to go. So I still think it's not the best, but it's great to see them in person.
Their Adidas days were good actually. I didn't mind their Adidas shirts. I think maybe it's a bit more iconic because of the players they had, but.
Definitely would love to see Sydney FC go to a better manufacturer.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you mentioned it. You hit the nail on the head. We've got Western Sydney Wanderers here, and any Kappa shirt now, I haven't seen a bad crest from. The fact that they actually pay attention and put the rubberized.
Rubberized.
And even the star above, which is, for me, is amazing.
Yeah, it's rubberized.
Yeah. The only thing I thought was strange about this is they've gone to the effort to put the rubberized crest. Everything else on this shirt is actually sublimated in the material. Which kind of, like, even sponsor
It's
and
good
everything.
for a player.
Great from a playing perspective, but I think it kind of cheapens the shirt a bit. You know,
You
even,
reckon?
yeah, I don't know. I liked it.
Is this...
That's sublimated as well by the looks of it. I don't know. I think it's, I feel like it feels like a cheap,
That's pressed.
like a yuck, or when you get the
don't
when it's all
don't do a yuck,
sublimated. I kind of like having the feel of the crest or the patch. Sorry, you know, even the sponsor. As bad as sometimes, you know, there was that Inter one with the black kit where they had that Pirelli panel. The
yellow one, yeah.
Yeah, like that was probably a really bad version of that. But still, there's something about having a patch. I love,
if you
like,
have that Inter one in large, please let me know. I got in small. I regret that. Biggest
on the
mistake
hunt.
of my
Yeah,
life.
yeah. COVID did that for a lot of us.
I reckon I'm going to try and find one. Yeah, look, overall great kits. All new kits, new boots. There's new Preds, the ones on the walls and stuff. Let us know what you're after. We'll try and pitch it to the episodes. But yeah, new kits for the A-League now available at Ultra Football, Melbourne, Sud and Nord.
Yes.
Sydney. Yeah, pop up. Anything else?
Yeah, before we wrap up, what kit are you wearing?
Jesus, 99, 2000, Luanvi or Luanvi, Valencia.
Nice.
Love it.
Very
Beautiful
cool.
crest. One of my favourite kits of the Valencia era. Just love the colourway, and I think Cavani's really inspired me to wear it.
Yeah, home, away, and third of that are all like
I
super
got all
nice.
thanks
Yeah,
to you.
yeah.
So thank you so much
Yeah,
for
no,
that.
they're awesome kits. I've got a I think it was 93. 93 was the first the start of this design. I think they held it out to about 95. Japan. To be honest, it's a hoodie. It's a crew neck jumper. It's not a kit actually. It's a bit more of a training wear kind of item. Asics, which is cool. And we mentioned last week that we loved how Asics do like the thick crest, stitched on kind of logo as well. I think this design is just crazy. It's out there.
I need to get myself more jumpers.
Reminds me of kind of like Kazu and Moira and, like, you know, those early 90s Japanese ballers. So.
My head's just going everywhere. I'm like, I want to buy this, I want to buy that, I want to buy this. Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. It's probably one of my favourite ones. Shout out to Nando. Always listens to our episode. He's going to South America. So, Nando, please bring me back a Corinthians jersey. I'm really excited. This episode was good. We've got 2 more in person.
Yeah, it was good.
I'm going to dedicate myself to try and get episodes done with you when I'm overseas.
Yeah.
Then we're back. Then I've got a little one, Christmas time. We're going to try to do a lot. But I can't believe it's almost the end of the year.
I know, it's crazy. It's gone so fast.
Yeah,
it's actually, this is like episode 16 now. This is.
Jeez,
Man,
thank you to Ultra.
Yeah.
Like, we love doing these episodes. Please, keep us because it's good.
Yeah, it's fun. And if you're a business and you want to sponsor the episode,
I think it'll be good. But also, shout out to the team upstairs for all the hard work. I know we're trying our best to get the episodes live. The team has been amazing to help us and give us all the things that we can make this channel possible. But yeah, we definitely have to do something special. We're announcing hopefully tonight, tomorrow for the Katusu Pizzas thing event.
Yes, we need to
Stay safe. Stay away from stupid people.
And for catch you later.
Catch you later.
Bye.